know full well you cannot erase every fuck you in the world. What I thought I'd do was, I thought I'd become one of those deaf mutes. So, in the new chapter of my life, I've started a new job. It's interesting. Second day today. Overall, I am in concurrence with everyone else I've talked to and not being particularly impressed with the new management, ownership people. Meh. If you have any questions, read The Dilbert Principle by Scott Adams. It's a really good book. I'm not paid for that plug. That's not paid. It's just a really good book and explains some things so that I don't have to. Yeah, so yesterday, for my first day of work, they handed me the directions to my location I was going to, and they said, today you're doing the big run with all 3 stops, and once you get to the first one, you're going to pick this dude up, and you're going to drive him along. And so then I waited for the shipment to arrive that I was picking up and taking on, and started to watch what is obviously going to be a clusterfuck over time, or just in any given sense. They're just always going to be like that. There's so much going on. So someone from Peoria comes to Burlington to drop off some papers that I pick up in Burlington and take to Ames, and then drop some in Boone, and then drop some in Perry, and then in this particular evening had to go back through Ames to drop the guy off because he was telling me how to get to the other ones. And so we're sitting there and talking and BSing and whatever, and it becomes apparent that he is more than just some guy working in a press room. And so I say, what is your position in the company? And he says, I am the regional circulation district manager for the entire state of Iowa and part of Illinois. And I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Smoking a cigarette out the window of the company truck while this happens. They prefer things to continue to just move, I think, so it's not a big deal. Everybody else smokes in their trucks too, so cool. So yeah, this guy has been doing this job for 4 months and is probably the reason why anybody that hasn't jumped shipped has been fired for budgetary reasons, or laid off, or whatever they're calling it. It's just this weird corporate headhunting thing. And, you know, I understand corporate mentality, and I understand business, and I'm never getting in the way of business for anyone that's paying me to do the job. I'll have to stop getting paid in order to get in their way. But anyways, so last night I was basically just handed a set of Google Map directions to Ames, and said, take this, go here, this is the address. Cool, so I did it, really easy. My boast at work has always been that they give me directions and I just go do it. Sometimes I don't have directions, I just go do it. Unfortunately, though, I do it best when I'm alone and unobserved, and so having this guy, and especially having this guy who is like 2 or 3 levels of bosses above my boss. I think he's 2 levels above mine or something, I don't know, it's a weird setup, because there's people that are local that are like management of local things, and then there's people that are like regional corporate management that manage other things besides just what they manage there. And it's not like that's their regional manager. It's just like there's no regional building manager, and the building manager is not really underneath of the circulation regional manager, but I, as the delivery driver, am somewhat underneath of this circulation delivery manager. And you got all of these people, a bunch of old farts, and you know, all of these crusty people that have been doing this for too long, some of whom are entirely out of touch. And like, then there's me. They've wanted to fill this position. They've not been able to fill this position. I said, hey, I'll take that position, and I happen to be a badass. But the problem is that I am not a corporate ass kisser. And it's like, if you want me to do my job, you're going to let me do my job the way I do it. And it'll get done. It'll get done on time. It'll get done right. So anyways, yesterday I drove about 550 miles between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. I had to do the whole trip all the way through, plus home, plus to work to begin with. And yeah, it was about 550 miles, 560, something like that. I was so tired. Ate a CBD gummy like it was a senzu bean. Crashed. Woke up at 7:30 p.m. and the entire day had passed me by. And I got up and went and I could have slept a little bit longer, except that my wife had to go to bed to get ready for work. So like she takes a nap before she goes in. And so she needed to take a cat nap, and so I got up and went and picked up the stepson from his first day of his new job, and we came home, and then she was leaving for work as I got there, and so anyways, yeah, I just basically didn't have a Tuesday. I slept it off. Woke up feeling okay. Muscles are a little tight, body's a little stiff, but I'm not bad. And then today I was supposed to take my van to Ames and come right back. And instead they had a bunch of other crap coming in that was from somewhere else, and short notice ended up having me ride with this dude. He was a contractor who gets paid hourly, who drives a box truck for them. This is like his truck. And his truck, it was a company truck, but whatever. And so anyways, this guy was from Peoria. And as it turned out, we got to conversating as we were driving, and I was avoiding anything political. Just, good old Master Mason rules, no religion, no politics. Keep it all on the level. And over the course of the thing or whatever, something came up and Trump got mentioned. I was just kind of feeling out a little bit to see how his reaction would be. I work for a newspaper. I don't know how many people are really conservative there. I know that the editorship tends to be very liberal, and I would say that the paper has generally been a little more fair toward Trump than a lot of them have been. They don't glorify him by any means, but their criticisms are not as harsh. It's some AP stuff that's either been reworded or isn't necessarily as bad anyway, but there's a little more fair appraisal, I think. So anyways, today I find out I have to ride with this guy in his box truck, and I damn near quit my job on the spot. I don't like doing that. That's not my thing, but it was just like, I have heard bad stories about this corporation, and I just need money. And I'm not playing some bullshit games, though. So anyways, as it turned out, the guy was pretty cool, and about an hour into the drive of a 7-hour drive, I spent with this dude in a goddamn shuttlecraft. I learned a lot. It was interesting. Actually, a really cool guy. I've got his phone number. His wife is a lurker on the Q boards. And he tried asking me about it, and I was like, man, please don't talk to me about QAnon. And he said, so you have heard of it? I said, yes. And I said, please don't talk to me about it, because I don't want the rest of this drive to be awkward. I would like to have us get along. And I said, if you are an adherent or follower of Q and you hear anything I have to say, you're going to have issues. He says, oh, no, it's not like that. And so we got to talking, and they've been looking at it, and they're really super hopeful, but they are skeptical of it. And I told him a great number of things that he had never heard and had no idea of to do with that, and then dropped some other actual conspiracy science knowledge based on actual research that I've done in the past. Because I am still full of that knowledge. I know occasionally I have that LTPS, short-term memory, or verbal memory, see, right there, verbal memory skip. But my long-term is fully intact, and everything within it, just as long as I know the words or have them in my vocabulary and short-term memory. Remember to have a vocabulary in short-term memory if you know how to, program yourself. That's the thing. Basically, I think we got along well. Kind of wowed him on some stuff, and there was other places that we both just kind of didn't respond when the other was talking. So, I mean, if nothing else, it was an interesting barometer and the guy's really nice, so I'm probably going to see him around more if he's going to continue to be dropping stuff off. But he is previously doing what I'm now going to be doing, so I'm kind of like walking in on it, and he was just doing it until they filled the spot, and he was a little sad about that. But also okay with not having to drive all the freaking way from Peoria to Ames every night, or every other, or whatever. So anyways, yeah, today was day 2. It was okay. Turned out all right. I don't know if what the word about me is around the office. I don't know what people have known or talked to them about. It's one of those, a lot of different people have seen a lot of different sides of me. And then when I come in and just start doing my thing, it's like I make extravagant claims, but I provide extravagant proof through my actions. So it's like, let me get started on this job and get to it, and just watch. That's what I do. That's how I do. But the other thing is there's like a couple of times that this guy that used to be my wife's work partner, who was like an at-work abuser. I don't know if anybody's experienced a real hostile work environment where there's a person who is totally abusive to people. This guy was like that. There were a couple of times that my psychokinesis did attack him successfully. One of them was actually pretty cool because it was, I told the department head that if he didn't start correcting this stuff and this guy didn't start, getting my money in and treat my wife fair, that I was going to kneecap him. And the guy was like, oh, hey, now, come on, we don't got to blah, blah, blah. And then the very next day, this asshole was out, the guy that I had an issue with, that had an issue with my wife, was out doing a route, and he took his like granddaughter with him or something, and they were stopping at a cafe partway through this route because they were already late. They stopped to get breakfast or something. It was his district, so he called the shots, whatever. And he walked around, and somebody else's truck had a big old ball hitch on it, and he kneecapped himself. Because that is how I roll. I don't have to lift a finger. If I have to lift a finger, it is over for everyone. Not just because I'm going crazy, but because I know what happens when I get upset. I'm not even sure what's going to happen if I was to get to the point of mortal injury or anything else. Never been there. So, but I do know that things when I get, panicked or irritated, that shit does get wonky. And I believe they have noticed that on certain days when I have stresses or issues and I'm standing near the packaging, that their machine happens to break down. So, I don't know, it was just one of those things that, I came in and I was done and whatever, but these guys, like, they knew that I kind of got pissed off because I thought I was driving my van, and I was like, dude, this is not what we agreed on. That was all I said. I was like, this is not what we talked about. I know you said it's in flux, but come on, dude, seriously, you have to ride with somebody else for 7 hours? I've never met this person before. I have no idea how good his driving is. I have no idea what kind of a person he is. Am I going to be able to smoke in his truck? Like, this is not how this works. I'm in my van. That's what I do. So tomorrow, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, unless I get there and they tell me otherwise, which, if that's the first and only time I drive that thing, and then it's just like whatever they put me in, and I'm not, I don't play that shit. There was literally no reason for me to go to Ames today. This guy was driving the truck. He had to drive it anyway because his box truck was the only one that could hold the mail load and the Story City shit that they had to take. And they said that they wanted him to train me on how to get there. I went there yesterday by myself. They said, oh, here's your directions, go do the job, because this is what they do, and that's what I do. And I did. It took me a bit, but I got everything in roughly. I was like 4:15 on a 4 o'clock deadline the first night with no instruction. What? So I just did not understand why they thought I needed to train on how to get there with this dude. It's like, I can't tell them that I'm a genius because they won't believe me and they'll hold it against me. So I have to somehow demonstrate. But at the same time, I need to get them to understand I'm not a fucking regular, average-ass, normie person. Like, 3 days and I'm good on any of this kind of stuff. It's not like they're teaching me how to do accounting book work or something. That's not something that I can learn in 3 days. But any of this spatial navigation crap, like, seriously, this is me, a fish in water. Just let me do it. But then they're like, oh, you changed the planet. So anyways, I'm home finally. And that's a bright sun. I don't know. Yesterday was stressful. Today was not so bad. I'm not so sore. I made a friend. It's not a bad experience. It just had a really awkward start, I guess. But anyways, this dude talking to, his wife's a lurker on Q boards. This is the first real-life person I have talked to from anywhere that has actually known what Q is. Like, I don't think it's as widespread as people think. So if that is the case, are any of us that are supposedly thinking we're fighting against a thing like that by telling, are we just like arguing with bots or the same 5 people on 6 different alts, and the tiny few of us that are like fighting for this thing are just like enclosed by controlled resistance, or like, what's up? I have to wonder. Just, that's, you examine any of the presumptions, you have to, I guess, consider the other one is that somebody's tricking you into thinking that it's real at all. I don't know. So anyways, this is a long video. I'm going to go ahead and upload it. Eventually I'll be going to bed here. And tomorrow I'm supposed to do the super duper run again. Hopefully again by myself. Hopefully not have to have... Like, I've got this thing I'm holding doing the camera phone YouTube thing on has Google Maps. They all know I have Google Maps. And it's like, I don't know what kind of idiots they've been dealing with, or they're taking their own idiocy and projecting it onto me, but... I mean, it is a typical thing. If you tell people you have an IQ over 150, they just don't believe you. If you tell people that you're any kind of a genius, they just don't believe you until you demonstrate it. But, I've done so many things over the last few years to empower myself, all these skills and abilities and ways of thinking, and it's too bad there isn't a visible merit badge in reality. That would be cool. In the meantime, I guess it's just lead by example and demonstrate by action. But I almost had to get pissed off on the second day of work, and that's some bullshit. I'd really prefer that not happen again. But that's not necessarily up to me. That is up to me as far as my choice to react, but this doesn't mean I need to have people putting this bullshit around me all the time. That's just going to cause me to quit my job too. So I don't want to have to do that. I hate being like that, but this is the reason why I don't like the hard schedules. You need to be here at this time, and you need to do whatever we tell you to do. That's not how I operate. I've been self-employed for the last 5 years, and if I can't do a self-starter job without them getting all up in my business, then I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'll have to find something else, and there ain't much else around here for someone like myself. So I don't know. Turns out they still have all the routes down, and they never went to mail, and I don't know what the deal is beyond that. But as soon as I got my other job, this district manager that wouldn't talk to me, he's all like, "Hi, Rob," and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Playing games with me? Are you just batshit? Like, what is the deal? And they're talking about how they're hiring in new people and all this shit. It's like they've just been chopping down the old workforce and demoralizing all the locals. And then come in and I don't even think they've hired anybody else yet. I think they're still on a moratorium, so I don't know what the fuck. This is the way the real problem is a bunch of conflicting orders, logistical nightmare, actually logistical impossibilities sometimes. That these you cannot do, mutual exclusive. You can't do these at the same time. And they're just like, make it work. So that's the company that I now work for. I'm not going to tell you who they is, but read The Dilbert Principle by Scott Adams.